For many people, their property is their sole investment. But what happens when a homeowner is faced with financial hardships and defaults on their mortgage bonds, repayments, agreement between the borrower and the lender? Well, recently, the South Gauteng High Court in Johannesburg delivered a judgment that repossessed homes may no longer be sold at auction without a reserve price. The case dealt with process that a bank is required to follow to sell a person's home in execution should the homeowner default on their monthly bond repayments. To get a little bit more information on this, we're joined in studio now by King Sibiya. He's the president of Lungelo Lethu Human Rights Foundation. Good to have you. Thank you so much for coming into Morning Live.
Morning, Leanne, and thank you so much for having me here. And thank you also to your viewers.
Good. Give us a little bit of context and background to how this case landed in the South Gauteng High Court.
Well, thank you. Well, first thing I must say that, Guti, it's a first landmark case in South Africa. That's going to strike the balance on the side of the society, because this issue was only benefiting one-sided. In other words, the financial sector only. People were losing on the other side, because, you know, in terms of what we call it, between the agreement between the consumer and the financial sector, it needs to strike the balance. Now, what it happened is that now we have been arguing on our side as the Lungelo Human Rights Foundation to say any given time when we speak about property, because it's an investment, there should be a market value of the property. How do we speak about the property not without a market value? Now, you talk about the administration of later states. You talk about liquidation. You all talk about the market value. But now, when it comes to repossession of property, why these properties are not sold on market value? So that at least, whether I'm losing my house, but at least I've got something to start a new life somewhere.
Yes.
So, which is we are calling a daylight robbery on our side, because it really it's very unfair. For instance, you know, I've got cases where people engage in a contract of 240 months, which is 20 years. Now, you know, from 1989 to 2008, now it means now I'm only left with 1 year to complete my bond. Then I'm losing my house. It's a daylight robbery.
It really,
you know, now
it's tough for anyone to get over.
Correct. Now these houses, which are sold for 10 rands and 100 rands and 50 rands. There are plus minus 900 properties countrywide. Can you understand that you lose your house for 10 rands? I mean, logically, how do you lose your house 10 rands? So therefore, our research, we found that with South Africa, it's a West country when it comes to repossession of property and the auction of the property. Because currently now, as we are speaking, we've got plus minus more than 100,000 households. I'm not talking about families. I'm talking about households.
Households, and that's
now. Can you imagine in one house how many families there are? 7, 9, you name them. So now the question should be, where these people are, how they live. Are they still voting? If they are voting, what are they voting for? Because they don't have houses anymore. Because
now that we've got this ruling that's come through, and they say that what's been ruled is that they may not be sold at an auction without reserve prices.
Okay.
So what would the set reserve price be, and how is it beneficial for the homeowner?
It's a great step. I must be honest with you. It's going to benefit countrywide, everyone, cut across white and blacks, you know, this judgment. Because, for instance, now, what it means, I'll make an example. There's a current case, which is now on appeal in Pretoria, North Gauteng High Court. A house, the market value of the property, it's 470,000.
Yes.
But the house has been sold for 40,000. Can you understand that the difference is 430? Do you understand that? Now, then, for instance, now this judgment, what it says, this house can no longer, if it's sold for, it must be sold for 470. Then the bank must take what is owed, rates and taxes. Then, therefore, what is outstanding comes to the victim.
Yes.
At least I have something to start a new life somewhere.
Yeah.
Not only that, but that is a last resort. Your house to be sold on auction. But before that, your account can be suspended for 6 months. You must know there are a lot of benefits that especially as South African people benefit out of this. Because, for instance, when you used to owe on areas, for argument's sake, 26,000 areas, now your balance of the account is 100,000. When the banks took you to court, they don't want the 26,000 areas, they want the entirely balance. Now, with court now, the court can make a ruling of saying, pay only your areas and then go back to your account, which is an achievement. Really, there are a lot of things. Because in other countries, they always do that. So now, therefore, this judgment says no house can be sold without a reserve price. Now, only the court can do that.
You know, the one thing that the lenders and mortgages are saying is that by setting a reserve price, you might actually be putting yourself in a position where you're unlikely to find a buyer. And it's better to keep it lower, and then you will find a buyer. What do you say in response to that?
You know, my response to that is that what is important here is about striking the balance. You know, I mean, the ruling, for instance, you know, this amendment, you know, my argument is to say these houses, the reserve price should look at least 90%.
Yeah.
You know, that should be my argument, or 90%, because if you're saying 100%, it might be a problem. It might not get a logo. But on the 90%, Lokuzana, I think it will be, you'll be successful.
Will be successful at least.
Yes,
I mean, what happens when a house is sold for 10 Rand? And then, of course, it's sold on by the buyer for enormous profits.
No, correctly so. You see, that's what I'm saying to you. It's you know, if here in South Africa you want to have a quick bucks, you want to get rich easier, go to property. Because with 2 houses, you are a millionaire. For argument, I'm talking about Soweto houses only. Mamelodi, Springs, you know, these township houses. Because, for instance, some of them, the market value is about 350,000 to 400,000. It depends on, but those are the current market values. So it means with 10 rands, they cannot sell it to you as an ordinary person. It's bank to bank.
And it's bank. So that's where the problem lies.
That's where the problem is.
So this is actually something that's organized.
Correct.
Yeah.
You know, somebody they are controlling, you know, it's now it's to you as an ordinary person or estate agent, it's going to be sold for 20,000 or for 30,000, but you can sell it for 350,000. What a profit.
Yeah. Now, just finally, when you sat down, you said to me that this is just the start.
Correct.
There is so much more that's going to come.
Correct.
What else are you doing?
You see now, I'm inviting for all people that their houses were repossessed from 1994 until now.
Yeah.
Because there were no justice to those people. You know, because their houses were repossessed, you know, which is, I argue, unprocedurally, unconstitutional. So now I'm bringing up a class action, which is called a class action, for 60 billion rands against 4 major banks. You know, yes. So now I think that's one thing, so that at least we want to bring hope to those people who have lost hope. Because obviously, you know, let me tell you, Leanne, you know, all these people that have been evicted, you know, they were supposed to get a counseling. You know, all these people have lost their houses. You know, mentally, they're disturbed.
Well, of course, and it's very difficult to get over. You've said something now that I think is going to spark a massive reaction from viewers.
Correct.
You want to bring about a class action against anybody that's been abused since 1994 with the repossession of houses and sold illegally. How do they get hold of you? I mean, this is, you're talking about a lot of people. Yeah. How would you like them to get hold of you?
Now, for instance, now, we are in Johannesburg.
Yeah.
Our offices are at 107 Albertina Sisulu, which is a former Market Street.
Okay.
Corners Mall and Albertina Sisulu. Our building is called Elephant House.
Elephant House.
Yeah, we are at office number 305, Elephant House in Johannesburg. So now our telephone numbers are 078 148 3526.
3526.
And then the other one, it's 079 707 9171.
Okay. These are the numbers they call to get hold of you if they would like to join you in this class action against the four major
banks. I know
banks.
this problem is a national problem.
Yeah.
Because, for instance, now there's a satellite office in Durban because there are huge problems in Durban. Free State, you know, Limpopo, I always visit those people because I need to address them and explain them. I need to explain if then people want us to help them. These are the following information that they need to bring to us if they want us to assist them. Because it is important that they need to know what information are we looking for.
Okay, so if you can tell me very quickly.
Yes,
what
very quickly. The information, you must bring your mortgage bond.
Okay.
Yeah, home loan mortgage bond. 2, statement of account, when you are servicing your account. The last one, it's when you've got an order of court against you, so that sometimes you need to look at those cases and review those cases or appeal against those cases.
Okay, so it's 3 things that you need to bring.
3 things that we
the mortgage
need.
bond, the account statements, and a court order.
Correct, Lena.
Thank you. Good luck. Thank you very, very much.
Lena.
And
thank you.
for the information, please, we'll pass it on as well. But for those of you that want to get hold of this and speak to King Sibiya, President of Lungelo Lethu Human Rights Foundation, those numbers again, 078 148 3526 or 079 707 9171. All right. Let's talk.